What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We've got our last balance patch for the month of October, and they were perfectly on theme. It's absolutely terrifying for some of the best decks in the game. It's pretty clear that they want to push Snap into a more creative direction, at least deck-wise, as they attack these decks with a giant nerf hammer consisting of 4 massive adjustments to the best cards in the game. And guys, this patch includes our first ever nerf to a season pass card within the season. We had a buff to Phoenix Force within the season, but Elsa will be toned down a bit, and this all combines with 4 buffs as well that are perfect. Now let's go to kick things off with the nerf, and we start with Elsa Bloodstone, who didn't even survive 20 plus days in her season. Guys, look, there are good cards and there are godly cards, and there was pretty much no reason not to run Elsa in your deck. When it comes to 2-cost cards, you look for a decent value trade-off, sometimes maybe 5, 8, even crazy 10 power. Elsa was easily delivering 10 plus power of bonus power each and every game, and so they'll be taking back her giftable power from a +3 down to +2. And honestly, guys, I'm pretty okay with this nerf. It kind of reminds me of the Kitty Pryde when she was like the god tier as well, and then she went down to a good card, and then she still got like 2 more nerfs, and she's still a good card, right? So Elsa is going to be just fine. It does target the package that was in like every deck, and the deck that kind of focused on abusing the boostable power. Nightcrawler, Jeff, Spider-Man. That's going to take a pretty direct hit because it's much more than the 1 power that she's getting shaved off the giftable power. But what blows my mind is they're attacking a card that's been a staple in 2-cost for a long time. Now, quickly parting the interruption, guys, sponsor Cozy here to thank today's video sponsor, Nitro Nation World Tour. A free-to-play mobile racing game from CM Games with over 84 million downloads across the franchise. Nitro Nation World Tour will take players across the globe while they race, earn, collect, and own hundreds of fully licensed digital cars. Now, while you're gaming, if you also like to be entrenched in engaging communities, then Nitro Nation World Tour is perfect for you, as the game is packed full of these features like shareable car collections, great club mechanics, and a leaderboard to prove just how good of a racer you really are. Now get ready, guys, to show off your fleet of digitally owned, customized cars as you compete for the ultimate prize. With Nitro Nation World Tour, you'll build your dream car collection from officially well-known licensed brands and showcase them in your social club, as well as in-game worldwide events. If you guys want to check out the game yourself, I'll be putting a link down in the description, and I'll see you guys on the tracks. Another huge thank you for Nitro Nation World Tour for sponsoring today's video. Angela, guys, is getting her second adjustment since the launch of Marvel Snap. She was a 2-1 back in December. They took her down to a 2-0. But now that we have cards like Elsa and Jeff, the new Spider-Man, there's so many ways to boost her up, and so they're taming her down massively. They're taking her from a 2-0 who gains +2 when you play cards on her location to a 2-2 that only gets +1. And look, guys, the devs were pretty clear. Black and white, they see Angela in 4 of the top 5 decks in their metrics, and they want to see a world where she doesn't reign the 2-cost throne in Snap. So they are dethroning her and seeing what other cards can take her place. Now, this is going to... They accomplished it. It's going to massively shake up the meta. I don't even know what is going to replace this dependable package that was kind of finding itself in most of the decks. Also, this is going to hurt other cards like Bast. 2-0 Angela was great. 2-2, not so much. Kitty Pryde gets yet another major nerf, right? Because you've got Elsa, now Angela. Kitty Pryde, who is, again, one of the best 1-cost cards in the game, is also receiving a slight nerf to this. So we're going to have to see what happens here, but absolutely massive. But they're not done yet. Loki October Season Pass card is safe. No more, guys. He is receiving a nerf, going from a 3-cost card to a 4-cost. Now, guys, if it's okay with you, I want to take a quick moment of silence for all the cards that took nerfs instead of Loki until now. Oh, yeah, and Collector, he's going back to a 2-2. That's one of today's buffs.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Now, let's talk about Loki's cost change, guys. I think that Loki is a great card. He's a lot of fun, but he was kind of reigning supreme for a bit too long. We're going to have to truly test and play him to see exactly how big of a massive change this is to him. But all I know is a lot of people love to play Loki on turn 5 alongside Collector, maybe Jeff, maybe Elsa. And now it's going to be a bit harder as you have to dedicate more resources to get his cost reduction. So I think they're trying to make it more so of a power slam, using your opponent's cards against them instead of combining all these other great cards like Angela and Elsa. It's going to be up to Loki to carry his own weight. Now, to wrap things up for nerfs against some of the best decks in the game, they now target Shuri, with the Sauron deck, one of the best decks since it has come into Snap. They're taking him from a 3-3 down to a 3-2, but they also tease that Sauron fans have a couple tools coming their way in the near future. Now you can combine this with Shuri getting a -1 power. Now you got -2 power to that deck, but doesn't mean that much when you can play down Sauron and all of a sudden you have a 1/7 Ebony Maw. You've got a Typhoid Mary, a Lizard. Plenty of ways to really utilize this deck. Double up the 28 power Taskmaster. This isn't going to be that big of a deal, but it is yet another nerf to the Shuri deck. All right, now that we've talked about how Snap is going to be affected with the powerful nerfs to the meta, let's talk about the buffs. Those are definitely more interesting for the majority of you guys. We talked about the Collector. Let's go ahead and get through another kind of okay buff, and that is Uatu, who just recently received kind of a buff, becoming a 1/1 that can see always the furthest right location. They're now taking him to a 1/2. So they're really trying to push Uatu into your decks. If this does interest you, he might see, I don't know, 0.5% more play. However, no question, guys, the best buff of today's patch is got to be Spectrum, who is going from a 6/5 up to a 6/7. And Spectrum has long needed this buff. She was kind of a standout worst card amongst all the 6 costs. And now being a 6/7, it gives her a major burst and some serious threat in the own lane that she's played in. Guys, I kid you not, I think this is going to be massive competitive-wise for the Spectrum ongoing deck builds. We already had a lot of good low-cost ongoing cards that were tied with great abilities as well, like Goose, Luke Cage, we had Mobius, Mojo, Zabu. All these cards are already great cards on their own that could receive the burst from Spectrum. But now she has a little bit more power, and you can spread these cards out better and better. And simply put, the best part is that Spectrum is going to always kind of have synergy with new ongoing cards. Obviously, the lower the cost, the better. You can get more out there with the stronger ability, the better as well. So expect not only for her to be good now, but continue to grow in her viability across Snap. Now, lastly, to end on the buffs, we have Hellcow, who I think is actually massively interesting. She discards 2 cards from your hand. She was a 4/6. And they're bumping her up to a 4/8. Now, I get it, guys. You played Marvel Snap to play some Iron Man, Captain America, not a freaking cow. However, I think Hellcow in this buff is absolutely huge. Already finding somewhat of a niche in some discard decks. It just wasn't worth the giant con of potentially discarding a couple of options that you didn't want to get rid of. But now Hellcow is going to have the appropriate power level with the discard effect. And most of the time, this is a pro for the deck, right? Apocalypse, Swarm that Hellcow can get rid of. Getting the 4/8 stats, 3/8 with Zabu. I think discard is in an awesome spot, and the devs are killing it because we have Hela now competitive. There's a lot of different decks like the Dependable MODOK, and now you can go for a more greedy Hellcow version of the deck. So they're doing great with an archetype that doesn't need a lot to be competitive. It's already at a great spot. Overall, guys, I think this Hellcow buff is going to be pretty damn sweet for cards like Morbius and Dracula. So I would say that's all I have for you today, but that was a hell of a lot, and this is probably the biggest adjustments all at once to target and kill the meta that we have seen since like Arrow and Thanos saw their big nerfs. This is going to be crazy, and it's going to change a bunch. We have Nico coming into the game. If you guys haven't already, I'm going to be streaming all these cards and testing out the new best decks. You guys can find me on Twitch. I'll put that in the description down below. And also, if you guys haven't already and you want to subscribe and help support the channel, that'd be awesome. If you want to do both, I mean, good God, you guys are crazy. Anyway, guys, have a good one. Have a great one. Until the next one, happy snapping.